All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to July's window shopping episode. If you're new to the channel, have no idea what this is, basically we look at the central market trends of notable items, and whether you're a beginner, an endgame player, or someone on a different server, this is pretty interesting to take a look at just because you can see the prices on NA and compare it to yours, and we talk about whether items are worth buying, selling, or trying to enhance your profit at this point. And yeah, we have a lot to talk about. As of July, we got a free pen black star, so that definitely tanked the market. So yeah, let's just get into it. And if you want to watch the previous month's episodes, you just check the link in the description. We have a playlist for that, and you can see other trends from last month as well. So I guess let's just get right into it and talk about black stars. We all have a pen black star now. Some of you guys may have two pen black stars, myself included. And we'll talk about the sovereign weapons as they happen, but I think we'll get to that. So, as of now, let's talk about the main weapons. I guess it doesn't really matter which one we look at. When it comes to Zarka and Offhands, it's a little bit outdated now simply because, well, you get a free Tep black star for getting 61 and all that stuff. And then you get another free pen black star. So, yeah, in theory, you should have at least two Tep black stars of main hand and awakening or something like that. So, if you are new and don't have it yet, the Zarka is always just a better one than the Offhands. Often, you know, I could see people using it at certain points, but it's at like very high end and you're just like weirdly min-maxing something. But for your average player or the majority, Zarka is going to be better. But that's also relevant because black stars exist and you should have at least two Tets or higher. So let's look at the trends and prices of this one. Yeah, main hand black star Tet is the lowest I've ever seen it in my entire BDO career. It is at a solid 6.5 billion to 7 billion. Yeah. Remember last month? Honestly, the main hand and awakening, they're not really super profitable. Like, you shouldn't be enhancing it at this point. And you can see the trend. It just went down like 4 billion in less than a month since the pen came out. It's wild. So, in terms of like all three weapons, right? We're looking at main hand, awakening, and offhand. If you're getting these to use it yourself, you should always get the main hand weapon simply because it gives accuracy. And even if you are strictly PvE, it's still a little bit nicer to have the accuracy and all that stuff. Whereas this one, it gives a little bit more, but you're awakening only. So no matter if you play Succession or Awakening, I would always go main hand first, simply because it gives accuracy and all that stuff. And just because it gives a little bit more of the item effect stats as well, so it's always nice to have. Okay, next we have, let's talk about the awakening weapons. Kind of the same thing, where if you have a dandelion now because you're a new player, that's fine. I think the price just like mega tanked even further, which, yeah, I don't think it's bad. I think it's one of those things where you could just put it on a boss alt and use it for like whatever you do. Keeping that character at a grind spot that you don't want to be at. So it's not complete waste. I don't know if I would sell it for 1 bill. Like, I would really just put it on another character, or just like if it has your name on it, keep it as like a memento of you made this back in the day. So it is what it is. Black stars. The awakening weapon isn't that much better in terms of price. And yeah, that was like hard drop. Reverse stonks, as we all know. So it's a good time to buy it if you want it, but it's not a good time to be enhancing or selling it. But that's about it. We all knew it was going down in price. Now, here are the sub weapons. This one's actually the fun one because, first of all, if you are trying to enhance it, these did not drop because when they gave a free Pen Blackstar to everyone, it was either main hand or Awakening. But the offhands were not touched. That means the prices they're basically the same. I know the chart looks like it's going up, but realistically, if you look at it, it's like last month as of then was probably like 14, but it's like 15, and now it's basically the same. It looks like it's more, but it's not really more, just probably a few hundred mil over like a billion. So if you were to be enhancing these for profit, Blackstar offhands are the way to go. Other than that, like, it's not a big deal. If you still have a Kudum and Nuver, that's perfectly fine. I've always talked about this in terms of what is the difference between a Pen Kudum at Capris 20 versus a Pen Blackstar. And the difference is with a Kudum, you have a little bit more accuracy, and by a little bit more, I mean like +2 or something. So you won't even notice it. And the Blackstar has a little bit of extra monster damage or AP against monsters on the item effect. So yes, technically, if you're a PvE exclusive, the Blackstar is better, but there is a little bit of a trade-off. Will you really notice it? Most likely you won't. So that's one thing. I think the way you should pick it is, do you like having matching weapons with all triple Pen Blackstars? Cool, then get that. Otherwise, if you enjoy saving money and you're not at the end game and you still have a Pen Nuver or Pen Kudum, that's also fine. Whichever one you like more, to be honest. And then Nuver is the PvP weapon. So let's talk about the Kudums. Let's look at the prices. Pen Kudum is tanking at 7 billion, 7.5 billion. I don't know why. I guess people are just enhancing Black Stars these days for fun, or because they like having the triple one. And then a Nuver is about 10 billion, 11. So this one is the PvP exclusive weapon. Well, not really exclusive, but it's like mostly used in PvP. And I guess if you are not a PvPer, this weapon is irrelevant to you, and so on. So I don't know if I would be enhancing these for profit. If you were to enhance anything for profit, it'd be like boss armors and obviously a offhand Blackstar. But yeah, it's a little bit tricky to tell you what to get. Depends on what you do in the game. Are you a PvEer, PvPer? Do you do both of them? If so, you should have both of them, like both weapons. And yeah, that's about it. Like, offhands are the way to go right now. And let's talk about armors. So I talk about this in every episode. I just wanted to clarify it once again. So your ultimate endgame goal is to have like the Fallen God armors, the 4-piece set, right? So let's talk about this first before we get into everything else. Labresca is the same thing. For every Fallen God piece, I use the same stacks. You can watch my videos in the past of enhancing it. So from base to pry, I would use about like a, I don't know, starting at like a 90 stack or 100, because they give hundreds out like candy these days. So if you start on 100, it's not a big deal. So 100 to like 130. And then from pry to duo, I would probably use like a 120 to 160. And then from duo to try, probably like a 150 to 200 stack. Usually most people hit it around like 170-ish, but you know, like if you use the 200, is it bad? No, because this is kind of an expensive weapon, or not weapon, armor. And then from try to tet, you literally use the highest stack, because 200 bill is a lot in this game. And yeah, it's more than Black Stars are currently at right now. So yeah, I personally used around a 245 to 260 stack on all of my pieces, and they're all at tet. So if you use like a 240, it's not even a bad idea. So yeah, let's compare it. Actually, this is something I should have done before. Like Pen Black Stars, what are the prices? Ooh, Pen Black Stars are on a decline at 80 billion. I think that maybe next month they will start going up in the price again. Not by a lot, but maybe it'll probably be like 90 billion next month if I had to take a wild guess. But I don't know. Like, people are gonna have to start realizing you need 2 pen black stars if you want to go for the sovereign weapons. That is the cheapest way to get from what Perlibus told us at the Heidel Ball. Otherwise, if you have like a Capris 20 pen boss weapon, you're gonna have to go like grind for another item or something like that. So I'm pretty sure realistically, just getting 2 pen black stars is the cheapest way to go. And if you're trying to buy it, you might want to get it at the lowest point you can. So there's that. And yeah, I forgot to look at the Awakening. What is it, that pen? Yeah, kind of like the same price, give or take a few billion, but basically the same. Okay, so what did we talk about? The Libresca, no, like Fallen God armor, fail stacks if you're enhancing it yourself. And just as a quick nutshell to all of you newer players out there, is there a difference between Gaiath and Griffin? The difference is Gaiath has 100 HP pool when you add it, and this one gives you a 5% all resistance bonus. And if you are a PvPer, I would recommend the resistance over the HP pool, just because like with this day and age in people's gear, resistance might actually mean a little bit more than 100 HP. But ultimately, at the end of the day, your goal is to get Libresca, and so your end game is not one of these. But if you were to pick one, first and foremost, get the one that's cheapest to Capris and enhance it. But if you're still like starting out, Griffin, in my opinion, is a lot better than the Gaiath. Other than that, get it to Pen, get it to Capris 10, do the quest to buy the flame, send it to Libresca, and then use the stacks I told you. Otherwise, just buy it. If you were to buy and enhance, I would probably buy it at like duo or try and then slam it yourself, because I'm pretty sure a majority of people can make Tet cheaper than the market price of 175 billion, myself included. And even at like the shoes were my worst piece, and that one took a lot of clicks, and I have videos of it. You guys can watch the montage of it. But even at my worst one, I think I didn't spend more. I either broke even or spent a little bit less. So I think most people can get Tet cheaper than buying it. So yeah, it does require a little bit of enhancing and time to get the crons and everything, but it is what it is. All right, so nowadays, the only 2 pieces that require a different amount of Capris stones are these. Dim Tree requires a little bit more to Capris at 10 than Red Nose, but the prices are a little bit different. So like this one is 16 billion, and this one should be like 15. Just keep in mind the Capris prices and then do a little bit of calculations. I don't remember off the top of my head what the prices are. So in my opinion, it might actually be a little bit cheaper to just straight up buy the Fallen God piece at like even base, to skip the entire process of that and then just start enhancing it at your own pace. If I were you, because transitioning into Fallen God is one of like, you're going into endgame, I would probably save up like 40 billion, just buy it at like duo and then start clicking from there. Even at 160 billion, this is going to be the cheapest price, simply because the armor came out first, and then in order of the release date of Fallen Gods, it came out helmet piece first, followed by, or no, chest piece first, helmet, then gloves, then shoes. So this one came out first. It's probably going to be the cheapest. 165 is still not cheap, but it is cheaper than the others, in my opinion. So yeah, let's get the one that's the cheapest and then go on from there. Things get a little bit tricky going forward, because there's Begs, which is the DR accuracy route, and then Liebers, which is the evasion. And then basically Begs turns into the blue one, Liebers turns into the green Dawn gloves. Once you have your Dawn gloves, there's a quest in the Morning Light, I believe, where I believe you can just swap it out, and you could swap between blue and green. green to blue, so it's not like you made the wrong choice. Ultimately, you just swap it out. It costs like 1 billion silver of materials. Very easy. And yeah, so if you're not at that point yet, make sure to watch out for things, because I think they made a change recently with the accuracy and Dawn Glove stuff to make it a little bit more equalized, so they both give the same amount of accuracy now. The difference is green is more evasion, blue is more like DR-ish, and so yeah, same stacks. I do believe that the gloves are probably the easiest one to get, because if you look at the flame, like all the 4 flames that you need to get the thing, the most of these to make the gloves are this one's the cheapest and has the most on the market. The downside is you have to do the 300 plus quest line in Morning Light to, you know, get the gloves, which that's not fun. Well, it wasn't that bad the first time around, but I hate that Pearl Abyss locks like the endgame weapons behind a huge storyline, because for anyone that's a veteran and or competitive player, you want the best weapons as soon as possible, because node wars happen, PvP and everything. So I feel like some people weren't able to enjoy the story as much as they wanted to, simply because they had this like, oh, I gotta get this weapon immediately. And then yeah, so basically for me, I finished the entire Morning Light questline chain in one day. It took me like 8 hours, but like I think for your average person, it's probably gonna take you at least a couple of days at a few hours a day, or like 1 or 2. But anyway, this one is probably the easiest one to get. Let's see, what are the prices? 180, they're most likely the same. Again, 180, so it doesn't matter which one you get. I think realistically these days, I'm pretty sure the blue one is slightly better for more than most people. Evasion is not bad, it's just like right now in the meta, it's not great. So like if you have an evasion one, it's not a big deal. Realistically, you could swap it to blue. All right, so the shoes. The shoes are the most expensive one because they were the most recent one that came out with the Ulakita area. And Uragan's is 17 billion, whereas Muskin is 13 billion. This is a trap. I want to talk about this. So people, let's look at this for a second. Muskin has 79 DP, and when people see gear, all they see is this number right here, like your sheet AP and DP. So Muskin has 79 DP, but you have to also factor in evasion, damage reduction, and it's 14 billion. So 79, 14 billion. Keep those numbers in mind. Now people see Uragan's and it's also 79, but it's 18 billion. So your average player is going to be like, they have the same stats, but one is 4 billion cheaper. But you just have to make sure to look at the DR and evasion, like the small text numbers under it. So I think for most people, realistically, the Uragan's is better just because DR and is better than evasion until you are at the very high end. And even at the high end, DR is a little bit on the balance after that huge change recently. So I think if you have the materials to just straight up get the Ator shoes already, get the one that's cheapest. Otherwise, if this is something you're going to be using for a little bit, like a few months, it's recommended to get the one that fits your class. And then Ator shoes, yeah, it's still the highest and most expensive. Even if it's like a 10 bill difference, that's kind of a lot. So yeah, it is what it is. I would recommend going for the shoes last, because if you're grinding for it, Ulakita is an endgame spot. Or like Ulakita, like the region as an entire, is more for endgame players. And definitely don't go there if you were like under 300 AP, because it's not that you can't kill it, it's just doing things efficiently. And so this is actually one of the questions I get a lot from people is, can I grind this area? And I'm like, technically all spots you should be able to grind. If you can kill things if you don't get hit. However, grinding, being able to kill something versus doing something efficiently are two different things. So yes, most likely you can do any spot, but it's better to do it like quickly and efficiently over being able to do it, if that makes sense. So anyway, Ulakita, high-end spot. Wait till it's the last piece you need to get it. Okay, accessories. Debarekas are the end game AP ones. Everyone wants AP. Big number means better. So that's the way people see things. So Debos are going to be the ones people go for. The newest one they added was the rings, which are actually going down in price. I'm kind of surprised. I actually got my ring around like, I got one ring at 80 something bill, and the other one I self-enhanced it. You see how we have 3 out of 20 on the Agris? Yeah, I had double tets and this straight downgraded. So I'm like, that's not fun. And so here we are. The ultimate goal is to get 2 Pen Debo rings, but enhancing it is the struggle. So yeah, I don't want to be the next meme that goes full 20 on a pen. Just don't be me. If I could have bought it, I would 100%. But anyway, Tungrads I don't think are bad. I know people are selling them just because, you know, Debos exist. But with the recent change where they added the 5 set effect of plus 12 AP, and then they also added 3 set, which is more Black Spirit Rage, I think Tungrads are more used in PvP situations, but they're not completely bad. So if you have them, there's nothing wrong with that. If you are looking to buy them, I'm not sure. The prices kind of like, ever since the peak at like 47 billion, it goes up and down every now and then. So you could probably get it for like 72-ish. So if you put it in order at min price, I think you can get it like in a few days or something. So if you're looking to get it, just be patient. Accuracy accessories, which are ominous for the ring slot. I always told people over the past few months that ring or like accuracy accessories should be you should be cautious of buying them, because we looked at the prices over the few months and it has just straight declined. So if you look at this chart, back at its peak, well, actually at its peak, it was like 160 billion plus. Over the past multiple months, it has tanked to 40 billion. So one of those things where if you bought it at like 150 billion, it's never recovering. I'm going to be real with you. However, do I think it's a bad item? No, I don't think it's bad. It's just people choose AP over accuracy, especially mostly because in every MMO I played, in most games in general as a collective, most people are PvEers or life skillers. Like there's a very small percentage of people that are PvP exclusive. So that also changes the prices in general. So that's why that also changes. But also right now in the current meta, AP is what people want. Monos accessories recently was able to be cron. They added a system where you can cron Monos these days. That's why if you've played the game in the last month, Pen Monos is more common. I see them get listed regularly. So this also went down. The TED accessories, they were at 30 billion max price for quite a while. And then now they're sitting at like 22 billion. So if you're looking to buy accessories, you might want to start saving up for that now. And so, yeah, that's about it. Necklaces, Debo necklace. This one gives the most AP out of all the, like, just necklaces in general give the most AP. Debos also are the highest. So I think this one is not really so much of a flex spot, to the point where it's more of like, you use Deboreka necklace and it's 40 AP. That's a lot. So other than that, if you are a beginner, new player, and you're thinking about getting Ogres, Tungrads, or Leighton, realistically in 2024 as of July, there's two options for you. You either get the Tungrad necklace because you want the 5-piece bonus effect of the Tungrad accessories, and I think paying 45-ish billion for a Tungrad necklace, not the worst idea. But outside of that, if you want the most AP, just get a Debo these days, and it's also fine. Anything else is kind of like a very specialized thing to the point where you either get it for a specific reason or that's about it. Lunar necklace was the necklace for accuracy. You guys remember when these were like 200 billion and now they're 20 billion? I actually, at one point in my BDO career, I would say probably about 2 years ago, I considered a pen lunar necklace, but then I just never got it because I was like, I have so many other things to upgrade and this was not higher on my list. So I'm like, okay, I guess I won't. So yeah, for most people, Tungrad necklace or Debo. I think most people will do better with the Tet Deboreka, but it is what it is. Let's talk about belts next. Same with this one, Debo belt. You get it at Crypt. It's either you like grinding at Crypt or you don't, but the drop rate there is not too bad. And yeah, you either like it or you don't, but it is the AP one. Your other option is probably like another Tungrad for the thing. I also think the Voltara belt is not too bad if you want a little mix of like, you know, AP, but also you want the extra HP for survivability. So I think this is a very good entry level belt, but then you transition into Deboreka. And I've talked about this multiple times before, but Tabex belt, in my opinion, is used for large scale PvP. So like one person wears it in the group, everyone gets the buff, but then that one person is like handicapped and you can't switch it for 10 minutes. So if I were to like change anything for the Tabex belt to make it more viable for overall, I think I would just lower the cooldown from 10 minutes to like 3 minutes, and then I think people would use it more often. Yeah, these used to be max price for a while. Like 2-3 months ago, this is max price, and then now here we are at 80 billion. So do I think these are bad? I don't think they're bad. They're just very specifically used in situations to the point where if you are not a endgame PvPer, probably just go with the Debo belt or something and you'll be fine. So earrings. If you are an entry-level player or a beginner, Narc earring, whatever you get from the Old Moon quest, or the Old Moon thingy right here, one of these three, I think the Narc earring is not a bad choice, but with the 5-piece set, the Tungrad earring also isn't bad. Whatever puts you up into a new bracket, or where are you grinding? If you're grinding in Kama Sylvia, this one is the best one, just overall with the stats on it and the Kama Sylvian damage. If you are a mix of PvP and also you already have the other things to make it a 5 set for the 12 AP, it's not a bad choice. Otherwise, this is probably the first one I would recommend people getting, the Crescent Ring, just because I think overall it just will put you up into a new bracket faster. So allows you to grind better, grind new spots, and you're good. Okay, so we're talking about earrings. Once you start transitioning into mid to end game, your options are Deboreka or Distortion. What I use is a one combination of 1 Distortion and 1 Deboreka because I want the 5-piece 5-set effect for Deboreka, which leaves you with 1 open spot. So if you want more AP, obviously the Distortion is going to be the way to go. If you are a PvPer, Dawn Earring is actually one of the ones I would pick. The price of this actually kind of went down, but it's not the worst one of all the pieces. So I do think of all the flexible spots you can do, Earring will have 1 open spot for that. So that's why the price is not at the lowest. Well, it is pretty bad right now, but it's not the lowest of all the accessories. So yeah, that you could your distortion is basically your flex spot. If you PvE only and you want more AP, distos. If you do a mix of PvP or PvP and or like any other sort of content, Dawn is probably a fine choice. Otherwise, if you don't want like 2 Debos or anything, or you don't want the 5-piece of the Deborahs, you could switch all these out for a 3-piece of accessories and like accuracy and everything. So it's up to you. A lot of the earring pieces are the most flexible, and you can do whatever you want with them. So that's about it. Everything else, these are kind of like very outdated. I wish they would straight up get rid of like half of these in the game because no one's using them, and just keep the yellow tiers and see where they go. All right, so with that said, we talked about all the notable items. What else is there to talk about? Yeah, let's talk about Alchemy Stones, because this is something that's people never really know when to get into. So if you are a seasonal character, this is my Dosa, and it's a seasonal right now. You should be using this thingy, this Spirit Stone, because if you're PvEing, it'll carry you pretty far, and it's fine. Once you start getting into more of the endgame stuff, and you're thinking about like taking your Alchemy Stones more seriously and trying to push for AP on that one, the entry level one would be the Ator's Power Stone. You do this from the Ulukita quest line. Very easy. It's just 1 AP, and then you get this until you get the Vel's Heart. Once you get the Vel, which is the most part end game one for everyone, up until you're at the 0.1%, and then you get the higher Splendid above. But for most people, until you can get that, the Vel is going to be your way to go. You obviously get this from the market, or you get it from Vel. And so yeah, let me see. 600 orders. Look at that graph. Yeah, if you put an order on it, chances are you'll get it eventually. Just keep an order on it if you need it, and then you're good to go. Like, they sell pretty regularly, in my opinion, so I don't think it's like impossible to get. It's just going to be not like instantly. And then if your guild does con, which is the weekly boss down at Kill His Eye, I believe, so down here, this is like the area you spawn con. You just do it 3 times and it's basically guaranteed. So if your guild does it, cool. If not, it's not a big deal, realistically. And so that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about for this month. So once again, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you learned something, that's awesome. And if you are a life skill or a life skiller, you can cron all of these things now. So cool. You can make your own, have your name on it, or just buy it. They're going down in price, so that's always awesome. And yeah, hopefully this helped you. Thanks so much for watching. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you come back. I make videos for beginners, returning players, and people who are looking to get better at the game. And so hopefully a lot of these guides that I make, I try to keep them updated, and hopefully they help you. So with that said, I'm out for today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.